Beautiful landscapes, fascinating World War II history, and ancient native culture are here in Alaska. Hello, I'm Nancy Perlman. On this edition of Eco News, we travel to the Aleutian Islands and to Kodiak Island to see how a sustainable fishing industry supports incredible tourist opportunities.
My name is Frank Kelty. I am a longtime resident of the city of Unalaska. Presently, I work for the city of Unalaska as their resource analyst. I worked 30 years in the Alaska seafood industry before taking a job with the city of Unalaska, and I was served 10 years as the mayor of Unalaska and watched the community grow from 400 to 4,300. We changed the reputation of this community from a seafood industrial park, a Wild West town where you could go raise hell at the Oboe Room until all hours of the night, into a community with good schools, a museum that's unheard of for a town of 4,000.
We live in Dutch Harbor, Alaska, Unalaska, Dutch Harbor, and it's a remote, isolated place. And we do it because we care about being able to provide quality fish for not only the United States, but for around the world. And we want to do that in a manner that's sustainable with science-based conservation behind it.
Being a single source economy, in other words, fishing, is what turns the economic wheels here in the city of Unalaska and the port of Dutch Harbor. We take very seriously the conservation of both the resource and its management. So to have our major fishery be a sustainable fishery is an incredibly valuable tool for this community in terms of planning its development and its future. Because everything that we do for this community, we have to look forward not just 3 to 5 years, but 10 to 15 to 20 years, and to make sure that every decision we're making is in the best long-term interests of the community. Our fisheries major fishery became sustainable. And when you look around our community and when you see the different things here in Unalaska, when you see the clinic with our full-time doctors, our parks, culture and recreation building, our swimming pool, our 2 high schools, our paved roads and walking trails, softball park, Safeway store, just different quality of life items that are here in Unalaska, it's all because we have a sustainable fishery.
And we have some unique challenges in meeting the needs of the infrastructure for the fishing industry. In Unalaska, we have a 5-year capital improvement program that's about $250 million at present, that we are working to see how we can sustain our budget to meet the goals of the City Council and provide that infrastructure for the fishing community.
At the end of the day, what it does for a community like Dutch Harbor, and I've had the privilege of working with this community for about 25 years now, is it makes things predictable and sustainable. And businesses in the community can start investing the tens of millions of dollars that it takes actually to support an industry like this. In rural Alaska, unlike anywhere in the lower 48 states, of course, you've got communities that are islands. They're not on a road system. If something goes wrong, you can't pack up your family in the station wagon and head down to the next town and get a job in a steel mill. This is it. Fishing is what sustains these communities. So we've learned over generations to respect the ocean and not to view salmon or pollock or crab or halibut as individual species, but as part of a large ecosystem. And in fact, if you attend any of our regulatory hearings, ecosystem-based management is the way we view things now, that everything is interconnected with everything else in the ocean. I've watched Dutch Harbor move from being a real Wild West town with what we used to call cut and shoot bars and very little law enforcement, to a town that's now built around families and parks and recreation and softball fields and libraries. And it's an amazing transformation. But it came about because of these changes in the way we manage the resources. You know, throughout the interview, you've probably heard a little screeching in the background. It's not a 3-year-old child, it's actually the eagles. In the last couple of days traveling around the community, we've probably seen in excess of 100 bald eagles here. It is a really pristine environment and an important environment, but it's also a wonderful place to work and to live. It sure beats having a normal desk job in the city. Right now we're in Dutch Harbor, Alaska, which is about 800 miles west of Anchorage, Alaska. And as you move to the west through the Aleutian Islands, pretty soon there are no more trees. And if you look behind me, you'll see that there are no trees out here. So you have to ask yourself, for instance, where does an eagle nest? And if you travel around town, you'll see they nest in the tops of cranes, they nest on navigation aids, they nest on light posts. They're creative. Nature always fills a void. They always find a way to survive. But again, it's a wonderful and pristine place to work and quite a privilege to be here.
I'm here in Unalaska, Alaska, in the Aleutian Islands, near the southern edge of the Bering Sea. This area is rich in cultural significance that goes back over 9,000 years.
My name is A.B. Rankin. I'm representing the Unalaska Corporation today. I'm Aleut, but the Aleut people call themselves Unangan. It's spelled various ways. I've seen it spelled various ways, but it's difficult to change a native language into English. Because this area has been so successful in its fishing due to good management, our corporation has succeeded, been successful. As a result, we've been able to reintroduce our cultural heritage. Fishing has been a part of the Onangan people for thousands of years. Initially, we went out in skin boats made of seal intestine and wood. They fished for salmon, for halibut, and for sea mammals such as whale and seals, especially seals, which was used completely for the food, for the skins, and for the intestines to make the boats and clothing with. It was used also for the rain gear that was worn while hunting. Nowadays, though, people use modern boats to go fishing, both for recreation and for subsistence.
The local Unalaska Corporation, which is the largest landowner in Unalaska and has leasing and properties they lease out to industry, is also doing very well and one of the most successful native corporations in the state of Alaska.
Behind me is a Aleut Unangan village prehistoric site that has been researched by anthropologists for over 100 years. It's a significant location. It's a significant research site to tell us about the early history of this area. The Aleutian Islands has significant cultural and historical significance, as we find out here at the Aleutian World War II Memorial Heritage Park.
My name is David Gregory. I'm with the Unalaska Corporation. We're at the Aleutian World War II National Historic Area Visitor Center in Unalaska. This center tells the story of World War II kind of generally, but it tells the story of the Aleut evacuation during World War II. It's when the Aleut people of the Aleutian Islands were taken from their villages and homes and interned in camps in southeast Alaska. And so we've got a really beautiful mural that kind of tells the story of what things are like before World War II. It was a subsistence lifestyle. The villages were very important. The military shows up and the war, bombing of the Dutch Harbor area. Most of the villagers had less than a couple of hours to get together, and they had to fit all of their possessions in this little teeny suitcase. And then they were forced to get on the ships and they were taken away. Most of them didn't even know where they were going to go. You know, World War II was a significant event in the area, and particularly to the Aleut people. If you look at this little map here, it shows each one of these crosses shows where there was an Aleut village before the war. The American flags show where the Americans had bases, and so there were a number of villages here all the way out to the Aleutians at 2.
You have some interesting displays here, including mannequins. They look pretty real. Was it cold here?
Well, it was cold and wet, as you can see from outside, but the Park Service found these mannequins and some of the clothes and such that were from the period, so it's kind of interesting that we can see what, the flight suits that some of the pilots wore. And